Let's answer the controversy. What should you do if you want to go up the Via Ferrata with your 8-9 years old or younger child? Let's say it better. What if you want to go on a Via Ferrata with a child of which weight is below the threshold of a Via Ferrata set? The threshold is 40 kilograms. Anyone below 40 kilograms in case of a fall will not deploy the shock absorber, which means that fall happens into a static system, and that one might break you or might break the system. Of course, the climber is not that heavy to push the system to the point of rupture, but might suffer injury because 30 kilograms is 30 kilograms. When they drop to the ground and they break into a static system, there is transfer of force which spreads on your body. What should you do? Well, this is what we are doing today here with the Edelrid Via Ferrata Belay Kit. The rule is, if you decide to do that, and I'm not telling you to do it or not to do it, it is your decision. If you decide to do it, to take your child or a person, someone who's below 40 kilograms in weight, then you should belay that person the whole time, from start to the end. And then, of course, follow everything that I'm showcasing in this video. On horizontals, on verticals, for sure on verticals, this person below 40 kilograms should be permanently belayed up to make sure in case of a fall they hang and not drop. Now, when it comes to kids, you should always keep them connected for one single good reason: cognitive capacity. They might disconnect both carabiners by chance, by mistake, and well, that one is high probability of a drop to the ground. You don't want that to happen. So the moment you start climbing, you belay the child, because a child is a child. They commit errors. You don't want that to happen. Good luck out there. This is not an Edelrid sponsored video. Here I am back again, this time in Romania with Carla. She will help me to introduce to you back again the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid. Many on the channel asked me to create a tutorial on how to belay a child, then to teach you advanced techniques on how to leverage this not only on verticals but also on horizontals. We are attacking a very difficult segment. For Carla, is the first time doing such a difficult Via Ferrata, so will be interesting. Let's see how the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid will help Carla get familiar and go through a level D Via Ferrata. Here I am back again. It's been a while. Stay with me. This is a 50 minutes long video. It is an in-depth, I will say, hands-on, real life, how to use and leverage with simple and advanced techniques the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid. Before anything else, a big shout out and big thank you to White Wolf Mountain Club at Baia de Fier in Romania. At Baia de Fier in Romania, you find the largest and most impressive cluster of Via Ferrata of Romania. If you want to get the feeling of Spain, but in Romania, then this is for you. The same character, the same traits, the same uniqueness as the Via Ferrata in Spain. They are not identical, but you get a slight taste of what will happen to you when you'll go to Spain. This cluster has almost no financing. Money come from here or there. It is amazing, incredible work. Unfortunately, the new routes set to come out are hanging. There is not enough money to complete them. Today, I'm helped by Alin and Carla. They are part of the club. It is their way of spending their free time. They don't spend time on TikTok. They join the club and learn how to master parts of life. No funding, no help from anywhere else. The person behind it does an amazing job out of passion. What an example. Thank you. Without them, I would have not been able to record this video. I needed help to properly record and then one by one give you real life example of how it is used. I kept helping in the past, but never recorded these advanced, unique case scenarios of how to use the Edelrid Via Ferrata Belay Kit. Thank you, White Wolf. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Alin. And thank you, the person behind the cluster of Via Ferrata at Baia de Fier. It definitely set what we have today. If it would have not existed, probably I would have never started the channel, never did what I'm doing with money from my pocket without even thinking at the cost. And well, the only reward is giving back to you. I hope this helps. Here I am back again. It is good to be back. Today we back again speak about the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid. There is a good reason to do so. I was asked by many on the channel to dive into more advanced scenarios on how the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid can help parents to belay children and then anyone else to help their friends. As you can see, I have Carla with me, and it hurts. Failure after failure, mistake after mistake. She kept hitting the rock until she made it up, because the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid allows you to help your friends and your kids to access the inaccessible. For Carla, this was the first time when she climbed a level D Via Ferrata. It wasn't easy, but she made it. And she was perfectly safe. She was safe because I assisted her with the... I'm laughing because it sounds like a commercial. It is not a commercial. I bought the kit with my own money. I'm speaking about it because I'm confident it helps any one of you out there to help others. I was saying that for Carla, this was the first time when she climbed a level D Via Ferrata. I was able to assist her with the help of the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid to climb way above her skill level. Let's see what the Edelrid Via Ferrata Belay Kit it is about and what are the best techniques to properly take advantage of its full potential. Thank you for watching. In here I'm using the 3-to-1 system because Carla, she was putting a lot of her weight onto the belay while transitioning. Very interesting case scenario. As you can see, my 3-to-1 ran out of slack. This because I was utilizing it during a live transition, not a person not moving at all. The issue with this is the unpredictability of the velocity of climbing of a person you are aiding. In this case, Carla started to move. I didn't have enough slack into the system. I got to the end of it, which means if she would have advanced more, should have been exposed, because between the auto-blocking belay plate and herself was slack. Lucky me, she stopped. I had time to readjust, but this is a danger when you use 3-to-1 systems during live transitions. On this segment, you can see how I grab the blue loop to give Carla slack. By now, Carla, she was exhausted. We did it. She made it. It wasn't easy. This is the second difficult part of this Via Ferrata. Extremely difficult. Exposed for her. It was the first time. Look at the belay station. It is busy. I'm dragging her. I'm pulling her up there to make sure in case she loses control, she'll fall into the Via Ferrata set. Of course, I also had the Via Ferrata Belay Kit holding her. Now I'm plugging the Prasik to her belay loop to help her sit and rest while I was getting ready to transition forward. Interesting, very interesting. Here is the perfect example of the net benefit of the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid. Carla keeps failing, and that's okay. What keeps her on that vertical hanging is the Via Ferrata Belay Kit being under tension. Instead of falling each time she fails on the vertical and then deploying the Via Ferrata set, she is there hanging and only hitting the wall. I have this side of it, you see, it has the blue ring and it is for a purpose. When the blue ring goes to the person down, it means your carabiner has to be connected to the blue loop here and then the carabiner connected to the anchor point. I will explain that later. The Edelrid Via Ferrata Belay Kit, why should you buy it? Because in reality you can replace it with just a normal static rope. And that's that. Now you have it. Why the Edelrid Via Ferrata Belay Kit and not any other improvisation? This is idiot-proof practically. When they made it, it is minimalistic and they say you don't need any extra carabiner. I disagree and I'm telling you why. If the person you are belaying helps him or herself properly, yes, you only assist, which is good. But if you get into trouble, then you will need everything you see in here. I have them for a reason, because they always stay with the pouch. What makes the Edelrid Via Ferrata Belay Kit amazing? It comes ready-made, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to know too much. Then you can extend it easily. It has this amazing pouch. It is good to have it. And by the way, at the end of the day, the cost of whatever you are improvising is the same as of the Edelrid Via Ferrata Belay Kit. What do I have here and why do I have them? I think the Belay Kit came with this carabiner, I don't remember. Most probably this I bought by myself. You get this carabiner, you get the pouch here, which is amazing, and then the rope. It is static. I didn't test it properly to see if it is semi-static. I didn't jump into it, but when I used it, I didn't felt any elongation, which means it is static. I've checked on the website, I didn't see it anywhere written. It might be there in the print, but I didn't see it. It should be static, because this Via Ferrata Belay Kit, it is about hauling, lifting up. It's not about rappelling, where you should have semi-static, ideally to avoid bouncing. Edelrid has a picture there saying you should not have slack into the system, which is correct. When you assist someone, when you haul someone, you should not have slack. But, you see, this is the difference between what I will tell you today and the manual. In real life, it is tricky. And it will take you by surprise. They say, Edelrid people, they say, and they do a very good job. I love Edelrid from any point of view. They say you don't need any carabiners and you can use it as is, which is correct. But real life, it is unpredictable. In my opinion, you need all these other elements, and it is for a good reason. For forever, I kept carrying with me carabiners to improvise in case of emergency 3-to-1 pulley systems. The issue with carabiners is them introducing a lot of friction. If the person is not on a real vertical, not really suspended, participating, responding to your nudges, it is doable. At the end of the day, you'll make it. You'll get out of a situation. But if the individual becomes unresponsive or incapacitated and obviously unresponsive, and then you are on a vertical and you really have to lift them up, carabiners will no longer work. They introduce way too much friction into the system. Considering the friction between the rope and maybe the rock as well, if the case scenario involves that, it becomes very, 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 very hard to lift someone up. Best solution, in my opinion, is to carry with you free climbing technology roll and lock devices. If you have them, they also auto block, and then they have pulleys, which means the efficiency is there, almost 100%. Be advised, when it comes to these improvisations, is not that simple, not that straightforward. They might work, they might get you out of trouble, they stay affordable, but they come with limitations. A proper 3-to-1 pulley system should have pulleys when you build it. Otherwise, you'll get yourself into trouble. This is their auto-blocking plate and does a great job. It is amazing. It works fantastically well. This here. It is sturdy and it does the job. In here, I already have a carabiner. And it is a screw lock carabiner. It is a screw lock carabiner for a purpose. I would like to make it as difficult for the person down to unscrew the carabiner and disconnect. Why? Because once they are connected to the system, they have to stay connected there. I don't want them to have control over connecting or disconnecting. Probably I can go with a 3-lock carabiner that is trickier, and if they are unexperienced, they will not know how to open it. The idea is I need a carabiner that keeps them glued there. Because one of the reasons, not to say when you go with a child, the reason you want to use this is because the child doesn't have the reasoning, and by mistake might disconnect both carabiners of the elasticated arms of a Via Ferrata set, and that one is a drop to the ground. Hence, you want to, when you go with a child, you need it or not, use the Edelrid, use a Belay, Via Ferrata Belay kit to make sure the child will not make a fatal mistake. Good. I have this carabiner here. It is always there. It is connected to the green, and in here I have this workhorse from Mammut. It's connected always to the green. I know by default I use the green side of it. The blue side gets never used, is in the pouch. Then I have a couple of extra carabiners. There is a reason I have this carabiner from Petzl. It is a Via Ferrata rated carabiner, and it will many times become the third carabiner on the horizontal traverses. Why? I will explain. It is complicated, but necessary. And then I have a plastic loop here, and you need this. I'm telling you, you might need this. And if you don't have it, you might regret it. Why? Because in certain situations, your climber below, the child or the adult, might panic or might not make it. It's just too difficult for them, and you have to lift them up. The Belay kit itself, the way it comes from Edelrid, is not enough. It is a 1-to-1, and it is very hard. With the friction between the rope and the mountain on certain sections, and then the friction between here, the rope and the blocking plate, auto-blocking plate, it is becoming very, very hard. If a climber is more than 30 kilograms, but even 20 becomes heavy. Depends on your position on the belay station. It's not easy. Hence, you'll have to move to building a 3-to-1 pulling system. Hence, it is why you need so many carabiners. They will help you a lot, and why you should have a plastic with you. This is it. It sits here because yesterday I recorded what you will see now. It waits for me to clean it up, which I will do eventually, and then we'll have to stay and dry. Cleaning it up only with cold water, nothing else, just to keep the whole thing clean. To recapitulate, the rope, it is static. It should be static. I checked on internet, it doesn't say anywhere semi-static. I don't expect it to be semi-static because this is about hauling. In hauling systems, you go with static rope. It is reminders of rope from the manufacturing process of Edelrid. Great initiative. Why throw it away and not build a Via Ferrata Belay kit, right? Very smart of them. The auto-blocking belay plate, it shows signs of wear and tear. That's okay. Then this carabiner that I always connect the climber to it, and a couple of more carabiners. One of them is Via Ferrata rated because the climber will use that a lot. Just a reminder, this video, it is about the Via Ferrata Belay kit from Edelrid. It is about belaying, assisting children or young adults or adults climbing Via Ferrata. It is about that, first of all, about teaching you, showing you, explaining you how to assist someone to climb up a Via Ferrata when they are beginners or in over their head, trying to attack difficult segment, way more difficult than their performance level. Now, Edelrid did an amazing job. They are reusing the rope from their production cycle. They built the automatic auto-blocking belay plate, put it together with a pouch. Now you have the Via Ferrata Belay Kit. The purpose of it is to assist children or adults in climbing Via Ferrata. Crystal clear so far. What Edelrid tried to do, and they did a very good job, is make this system, this belay kit, idiot-proof, simple, which is perfect. And it actually works. If you have, pay attention, if you have a capable climber, if it happens that the climber, and it is the reason you are assisting many times the climber, to help them go above their climbing skill. If the climber gets into trouble, no longer responds to your commands, it no longer participates, it is stuck there, the belay kit, the way it is right now, the way you buy it, is no longer efficient. Now you get into trouble. The thing is, everything is nice, fantastic, everybody speaks about it from a theoretical perspective. Not that many think about the reality of life on the mountain, on the Via Ferrata. It can happen, and it did happen to me so many times, that real stuff happens, and then you are in crisis. When you are in crisis on the mountain, while climbing, rock climbing, or while climbing a Via Ferrata, or while climbing, alpine climbing, or whatever you are doing, when stuff happens, that one is survival there. That one is life or death. It's not a kid's play. Very important for you to understand this. When you go on a Via Ferrata with a belay kit like this, you make a promise to the other person, not to say if it is your child. The life of other person is in your hands, very important. You get into a situation and you have to get out. Mentally, I'm confident you are the type of person that will do anything to assist the other individual and get out of a situation. There are limitations to our human capacity. You can lift as much. It is a thing that you cannot control. For you to be able to get out of a situation, you need tools, you need skill set. Without that, it's not up to what you want, it is up to what you can do. When crisis happens on the mountain, it is very bad. You might think, I have it under control. Not true. When it happens, it is very, 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 very bad. What am I trying to say with this? The belay kit, the way you buy it, it is perfect, but you'll have to improve it. You have to spend a bit more money. This is my advice to you. If you want to make sure you can properly take care of yourself and the person, the people, the child you are assisting, make sure to have it as complete possible. Edelrid, they say clearly, don't try to replace the rope by yourself and don't try to reinvent the system. You might say, I can build it by myself. That's true, but that one requires mastery. You have to know what you are doing. The Belay Kit addresses to enthusiasts, first of all, parents that want to help their children, and then to a professional. A professional will be able to improvise a belay system with no problem. I expect a professional not to watch this video. This video is from me to you. I'm a simple, normal, average climber. Let's say it like that. And everything that you are seeing is what you are getting. Here we are, segment number 3. Now on the table, I will show you a couple of very important things. Again, this here is the Edelrid Via Ferrata Belay Kit. To clarify, this is not promotional material for Edelrid. I bought them with my own money. Everything you see in here. In fact, up to this date, except a headlamp that I got and was asked to speak about it from Nightcore, I never ever received anything from anyone. The huge amount of money invested or spent onto the gear, the activities, and into this channel, all of it comes from the sponsor, the only one, which is I. No promotional material here. I'm not picking favorites. Yes, I have brands that I always buy from them. It happens for a single reason. It is the best cost performance equilibrium. Hence, I'm buying from them. Or they have products you cannot find anywhere else. And because of that, I'm only buying from them. Or their product is better than the others in terms of how it is built. Because of that, again, I choose to buy from these brands. But it's the only way this happens. I check the cost, I check the functionality, I decide what I think is best for me. From there, I make the decision to buy. This is not an Edelrid sponsored video. What this video is about? This video is about being Smart, up on the mountain, on the Via Ferrata, staying safe there, plus getting yourself out of difficult situations while, and not only, taking responsibility over the safety and the life of other individuals. You might go with your own child, or you might assist the child of another person. You might take a friend, offer your support. Once you are there, it is wild and dangerous. You have to stay safe. Why is it making sense to buy the Edelrid? I already said this, I'm saying it, repeating it back again. It is the most efficient in terms of costs. It is already done. You have this auto-blocking plate here, which is perfect. Then the rope itself, it comes with it, and it looks nice. It is a nice piece of rope. Edelrid creates amazing climbing ropes. Quality is there. Then you get this pouch here, which is just amazing because everything fits in. You clip it onto the utility loop of your harness and you are ready to go up the mountain. What are we doing here now, right now? At the table, I will show you why it is worth to extend the Via Ferrata Belay Kit from Edelrid, with what, why, and with what. This is what I will show you. And of course, when it comes to the why, I will show you also how to do it. On my left, which is to your right, you have a auto-blocking belay plate of a kit from Edelrid. This one does the job as it is supposed to. You see, when I'm dragging like this, it goes. It flows through. It flows through. As you can see, I have a yellow, you see, ring is there. And I'm pulling and it goes. Now, to block it, to make sure it blocks so imagine this is the climber. To block it, it flows. To block it, I clip in here on this yellow-green loop. And now, give me a moment, to put enough pressure, it no longer goes. This blocked. Edelrid, in their manual, they say if the yellow goes to the climber ring, then you use the yellow loop to anchor the belay kit to the anchor. Good, to the fixed point into the wall. So this is blocked. You see, this is blocked as I am the climber. Then I can still pull. I'm the person providing aid, help. If I want to give slack, this is connected. I lift this a moment. And now this flows back again, freely. This is the basics of using this. The kit comes, I believe it is this carabiner, and the idea is you clip the carabiner here and with this carabiner to the belay loop of the sitting harness of the climber you are helping. And this is the purpose of this carabiner here. It is a screw lock carabiner. It goes in, then it locks, and that's that. The person I'm aiding should not touch this carabiner except when instructed to do so. Good. With a responsive climber, adult, capable, only needing some help. For example, at Baia de Fier in Romania, we have a section with iron rings. That one is extremely dangerous. If you fall there, who knows what will happen? Very bad things. To help, aid good climbers, but who don't know if they actually make it up to the top, we use the belay kit as is, and we only aid them, we support them, we make sure there is no slack between the anchor point and the climber. In case they lose control, they will not fall, they will hang. But we don't pull them up. We don't make it easy for them. It is their job to do that. We only remove the slack into the system. That's that. And for that case scenario, it is perfect. Works amazingly. Now, the issue is when you go with someone that needs real assistance, they can fall at any time, they don't have experience, and maybe they need the nudge to come after you. For these cases, it gets complex. While this might be okay for capable adults in general, and even kids, many times it is enough, in certain situations, it no longer is safe. What do I mean by that? If you have a child, for example, and you go on a horizontal, what you don't want is the child to lose control. If a child loses control and you are far away, let's suppose 3 anchor points, even on that horizontal, we not even say on a vertical, when the horizontal goes on the vertical and you are above. We don't speak about that. We only speak about the horizontal. What don't you want there? The child, a small child, with not enough cognitive capacity to reason and understand exactly what happens there and take care of him or herself, what you want there is not to fall. If a child falls, it is the scare, it is the possible injury, and then you have to go back and drag the child to help the child get back to the safety, like to the horizontal safety steel cable from where to continue. And this is just the simplest, easiest case scenario with no consequences at all practically. But what if something more happens? What if now the person sways far away from that and you create vector forces between your rope and then you have to go back? It gets messy. To avoid this, there is a technique. It is cumbersome. You have to be able to communicate with the climber. The climber needs to understand what they have to do. But at the end, if you properly apply it, then it works. We have a carabiner that goes to the climber. I use this Mammoth workhorse for the anchor points. And this is how it goes up to this point, the system. Now, what I do is I give slack to the climber, child or not. And then what I'm asking them is, on your horizontal, while you are advancing, use this carabiner to connect the rope of a Belay Kit to the horizontal safety steel cable of a Via Ferrata. What this does? Well, this will go at the same time with the climber. I'm the climber, and it goes at the same time with me, right? But you see, this does nothing other than creating a support point. What this support point does, it really doesn't matter in this case scenario where I am anchored. I can be above, I can be at an angle, it really doesn't matter. When the climber, if the climber will ever lose control, they will only do one thing, drop. They don't sway, they don't go out the wall. That doesn't happen. It is just down. This is the only reason I'm asking them to do this, to make sure they stay and fall vertically on that horizontal. Now, in reality, they don't fall. Why? Because between me and them, there is no slack. This creates the correct vector for a vertical where they are, exactly where they are. Whatever is between me and them, it really doesn't matter. And what I do, if I see they lose control, I take away the slack and they don't fall, they hang. If you don't do this, if you don't use this extra carabiner, when they lose control, even if you remove a slack, what you'll do there, you create a vector force with the lanyards of a Via Ferrata set, and to remove a slack completely, you have to actually pull them away from the wall, sway them, maybe they will slide on the vertical. That one is dangerous. That one introduces unpredictability into the whole situation. With this, when they drop, this stays there, you apply force on it because you are dropping, right? And then what I'm doing is I'm removing the slack. Because they put force on the carabiner, the most that can happen, the most, is them to slide to the left. Because me, I'm far ahead, right? And I might drag them when I try to remove a slack, but it really depends. It really depends. Maybe yes, maybe not. When this carabiner is connected like this, the climber will have a tendency to go down. And the most that can happen when I remove a slack, is to drag the climber to the left or to the right based on where I sit. In this case, I'm to my left, and when I will remove a slack, this might slide on that horizontal until the next anchor point. it will stop in there, which might be a meter and a half. Now me, I already keep the climber under tension with no slack. When this going to the left happens, will happen slowly. The climber falls, loses control, no support, the whole weight, gravitational force, drags the climber down to the ground, and now what will happen, for the climber to accelerate, will actually have to slide to the left. And this is no longer a fall, this is a sliding. Yes, the climber will go, yes, the climber will slide for that 1 meter and a half, and it will hurt a bit. It can happen. Now, the presumption here is, and this is very difficult because you have to assess it, what will you do? Who will break the climber from that fall? Your lack of slack and will hurt. The Via Ferrata set, what if you don't use this one? What will be the repercussion by not using a carabiner? Again, the climber will eventually stop into something. And the question here is, how do you want to aid that climber? You keep slack here, and this only serves when the climber goes on the horizontal for the climber not to drop to the ground, and it's the only aiding you are providing, or you are trying to leverage the situation of the climber and through this carabiner improve the whole context. A question that has to be answered. I'm using this extra carabiner for this case scenario, which it is iffy. In my opinion, better with a carabiner than without. When you use this setup here, this will go down as far as the Via Ferrata set will go. The question here is which one will stop first. Now, from horizontals, when you lose control, it is very hard to deploy the shock absorber, which means breaking into this or breaking into the Via Ferrata is the same thing. So, at the end, when we stay and theoretically think about it, this is better because this through the movement will dissipate some of the force. And by the time you reach and break, it is better than the Via Ferrata set. Again, on horizontals, if you follow the rule and you stay below, this is the safety steel cable, below of it, that fall when you lose control is very small. And in that case, you will eventually break into the Via Ferrata set. It really depends on the differential between how much this can travel and how long the Via Ferrata set it is. Because it might be that this doesn't get to travel the whole way to the anchor because the Via Ferrata already kicks in. And that one, the shock absorber, I'm telling you, will not deploy. You have to be very heavy for that to deploy when falling on a horizontal from below the safety steel cable. Hence, in my opinion, this is better or does more good than harm. And the harm it can make, it is only in special circumstances, which means I'm recommending this. This is that, to this point. Now there is a question. How good are you as a person who's aiding the other person? And it's not about how good are you in terms of doing it without failing. It is about what if you make an error? And it can happen to any one of us. What if you lose control and you drop? Even worse, let's suppose that you drop and something happens, you lose your carabiners and you drop to the ground. Well, you are connected to this other person. And what you'll do there is you'll drag the person with you. How do you avoid that? When you are in movement, you want to keep that other person always safe. And then if something happens to you, you want them to be safe. How do you do that? Also, when you start traveling, you have to add a lot of slack into the system because you have to reach the next anchor point where you'll anchor the plate. So during this transition, how can you ensure that the aided person, child or young adult or adult, how can you ensure they stay safe? This is how I solve it. At arm's length, plus minus like this, for them to be able to reach either the cable when on the horizontal or the anchor point. So at arm's length, like this, not like this. Like this. In here, I go once, I go twice, and I go 3 times. I hope you know what I'm doing now. I put it here, and then I put it here, like this. You find it on internet and on the channel as well. This is a butterfly knot. This is a butterfly knot. The climber will have it like this. When I move, I'm asking them to do this. From this case scenario, and this should be shorter, again, to not get into the case where you want to remove a slack and the knot prevents you. It ended up a bit long here in my example, but you get the idea. When I'm preparing myself to move, to advance to the next station, I'm asking them to do this. Remove a carabiner, put the carabiner in the knot, and connect the carabiner back to the safety steel cable of the Via Ferrata or above the anchor point if on a vertical. Now, what they can do, they can rest into it. It is static, they can rest into it, and me, I can advance. If something happens to me, I'm disconnecting the whole system and clipping it to the utility loop. In that case, the climber is no longer protected. I can no longer catch them, but this one holds them. If I lose control and fall to the ground, because the brake is here, the climber will still be safe, secure. I cannot drag the climber with me. Then, when I'm advancing, I can no longer catch the climber, but if they are connected like this, they can stay into a resting position and wait for me to reposition myself. Hence, on the Belay Kit, you'll see the butterfly knot. It is there, it will be there, and it requires the ability of the person I'm helping to understand my commands and know what to do, because they'll have to do this. They'll move this carabiner from here when we rest, when I'm transitioning, to here when we advance, when the person I'm aiding advances. It is a lot of steps, makes the whole process cumbersome, slow, but this is what keeps someone safe. Now, it can happen that the climber you are helping, child or adult, they panic, they get tired, or they cannot solve it. That's that. What do you do? Well, if they can no longer continue, that one is a big problem, and the recommendation here is to actually start descending. It's easier for you to lower someone down than to drag them up. But that one is a very bad situation because it's very complex. You from above, you no longer see. In reality, you have to go next to the climber. You have to make sure the climber still responds to the commands and they anchor them into a resting position for you to move from up to down. It's very hard. If you want to go up and the climber no longer responds to your commands, you have to drag the climber. And if the climber is heavy and the Via Ferrata is long, it's very hard. That one is a bad moment, and hopefully will happen to none of us, because one person cannot solve it. If you have someone to help you, it becomes doable, up or down. But if you are alone, it is very complicated. But let's suppose the climber, it is responding, still has the ability to continue, but there is a segment, a situation where there is nothing to do other than pulling the person. It can happen. What do you do? And I told you before, you have to know how to improvise a 3-to-1 hauling system. If you know how to do that, you are out of the woods, out of danger. How do you do that? You are already connected here. This is your belay station. This one is already connected. This goes to the climber, and then you have this one that you are dragging. Good. Now, this one that you are dragging, you put it, this is from the climber. So this one is the climber, this is mine. Now, I take mine, and I go a bit like this, and then I go a bit like this. And look, this part is the climber. This is my U here. And now this has to be clipped somewhere, either with an extra carabiner or on the same carabiner as here. We are clipping this. Good. So now this is the belay station. And now we have this loop here, and then this is the climber. We have to connect this part of the loop to the climber. How do we do that? with this carabiner connected to the loop, we need to connect it here. And the way we connect that is through a prusik. It is why I told you that you have to know how to do a prusik. It's not the perfect prusik, but to serve the purpose of the example. And now this is our 3-to-1 system. It's very hard to read, very hard to understand what happens here, but this is how you do it. This will auto block, so when you will move this, because any other moment you'll have to keep pushing this towards the climber. You lift and push, you lift and push, and when you do that, you need something to break the climber, not to go back down. And this auto blocking plate here does that. The 3-to-1 is complex. I will explain it on the video in real life because I'm confident it shows better. If not, we'll have to move there and do it for you to see it part by part. There is already a video on the channel that explains that. It takes a bit of practice. Ideally, you'll practice all your equipment and all these knots for you to know how to do it under duress, under stress. Because when the bad situations are happening and if you are not prepared, you have to move fast. And only instinct, habit can help you to actually cope with it. If you have to recall how it is done and you don't know and you didn't practice enough, you'll get yourself into trouble. I'm now creating a 3-to-1 system to be ready in case something happens, to be able to react fast. Good. This will be my 3-to-1. In case I need to react fast. Perfect. Eu sunt pregătit. S-a agățat? S-a ancorat? I have a 3-to-1 ready. In case something happens, I will always be able to just lift her up. Okay, so the 3-to-1 is ready. Now I have this auto block here from Edelrid, is the default. She's under tension. She's under perfect tension. And the 3-to-1, it's ready. If something happens, I'm ready. Look how easy it is, you see? See? But she's not moving now. Ce faci? I'm under perfect tension here. Mai moale? E bine? Mai moale? So for now I'm using only this to keep her under tension. Always. The moment she moves a bit, I'm removing the slack. I have a 3-to-1 ready, it's there. If I need to employ it, it is already set. I keep her always under tension, always. You see, now no slack here. This is the default capture plate from Edelrid, Via Ferrata Belay Kit. Blue, if I lift it, means give slack. Yellow, she has the yellow on her side, which means break. So this is Carla under tension. this one here. This is me removing the slack, and this is the 3-to-1 system ready at any time. To explain what we are doing, I am clipped there, and with one hand I'm ready to take away slack. So why is she doing this? Why Carla just did that? Because I'm about to go up. Now if I fall from there, we need to make sure I'm not dragging her with me. So she's now clipped through a knot, the butterfly knot, and so now she can also rest. So the knot will keep her fixed steady. Now it is me advancing while she's there secured and she's waiting for my command.